Types of primary memory. The first question that needs to be answered is, what is primary memory? In section 1.5, the concept of the processor needing to store data of all types in the memory was introduced. However, as those who have used a computer will know, there are plenty of other places that a computer can store data or programs, example, a disk drive or a CD-ROM. These will be discussed in section 1.5c. In the previous section it was stated that any data or program instructions that the processor was to follow had to be in the processor memory. Anything that is being held elsewhere, like on the surface of a disk drive, cannot be used by the processor until it is moved into the processor's memory. Because it is so important, it is called the primary memory. The primary memory of the computer is the memory that is advertised as being 128 bytes of RAM. This simply describes the capacity of the memory. There are a number of different types of memory in the processor. 1. ROM, read-only memory. ROM is memory that cannot be altered. This means that even switching the computer off will not affect the contents of the ROM. There is very little that needs to be stored in ROM, so it tends to be very small. In the past, the whole operating system was stored on ROM, but that means that if you want to use your computer in a different way, or you want to install the latest edition of an operating system to replace the one in use, you can't because the computer can't delete the old one. When the computer is turned on, it would be there. For this reason, the operating system is stored on the hard drive of a computer along with all the other programs that may be used. A problem arises because when the computer is switched on, it needs the operating system to be able to do anything useful, so a small program is stored on ROM whose job it is to go and get the operating system from the hard drive so that the computer can work. This little program is called the bootstrap, and the process of retrieving the operating system is known as booting. 2. RAM, random access memory. RAM stores the programs that are being used by the computer, including the operating system, and the data that is being used with those programs. When the computer is switched off, all this data is lost. RAM is said to be volatile memory because it is so easily changed, whereas ROM is non-volatile because it cannot change. Notes. 1. There are many other types of primary memory that you may have heard of: PROM, EPROM, EROM, SRAM, DROM. They are all a type of either RAM or ROM, and you have no need to learn about any of them. In fact, it is probably better not to until the later parts of the course. 2. A typical question will ask for an example of what is stored in ROM and RAM. The safest answers are the bootstrap being stored in ROM and user software and data being stored in RAM. Problems arise if a student answers that the operating system is stored in ROM because it can be, but in most microsystems it isn't for the reasons given above. The BIOS, if you don't know what that is, don't worry, it is not in the course, is another problem. The BIOS itself includes user-defined parameters and hence is not stored in ROM entirely. In fact, the BIOS tends to be stored in a special type of RAM which is refreshed using battery power when the system is switched off. This is past the level of this course and students are advised not to use this as an example of storage in ROM.